Frontenac Little Theater presents a radio play. Hollywood is my business. Step back into the noir world of Hollywood in the 40s and 50s.
Now take one moonlit cruise that turned deadly, and a corpse that wasn't dead, and a pair of blue eyes who should have known better, and you end up with three corpses very much dead.
Someday he'll come along, the man I love, and he'll be big and strong, the man I love. And when he comes my way, I'll do my best to make him stay. He'll look at me and smile, and I'll understand. And in a little while, he'll take my hand. And though it seems absurd, I know we both won't say a word. Maybe I shall meet him Sunday, maybe Monday, maybe not. Still, I'm sure to meet him one day. Maybe Tuesday will be my good news day. He'll build a little home that's meant for two, from which I'll never roam. What would you? And so while out above, I'm dreaming about the man I love.
Let me talk to Shanelli, please. It's Mitch. Hi, Mr. Shanelli. He's getting out tomorrow. Yeah. I got it straight from the warden's mouth. Yeah. Like you thought, she came to see him. No, I didn't hear exactly where. They were huddled together like two lovebirds. Okay, if I hear anything more, I'll let you know. Maybe he'll let out something to his cellmate. The guy owes me one. Yeah, anytime, Mr. Shirley.
It had been a slow month that March. Hell, who was I kidding? It had been a slow 6 months. Nothing but peeping Tom divorce cases. Wayward husbands and wives playing the hanky-panky game. Barely paid for the rent and lights. You'd think being on the strip just before it enters Beverly Hills would have brought in more high-class clients. It was late, nearly midnight, and I was down to my last bottle of scotch. I was thinking of calling it a night when there was a knock on the office door. A nervous knock, persistent. I listened for a while, hoping the knocker would give up. I was tired of divorce cases.
Mr. Blake, are you in there?
It was a woman's voice, soft, worried.
Mr. Blake, I know you're in there. I saw your light from the street. Please open up. It's a matter of life and death.
Yeah, it's always a matter of life and death, and that doesn't usually pay the bills. But I guess I'm a sucker for a female voice. The door's open. I have one failing. Actually, I have many, but that's another story. I never turn down a client, even when I know I should. That's why I always keep my door unlocked. I figured the smart ones will figure that out and come on in, and the dumb ones will walk away when I don't answer. She was smarter than the average. Most never call out to me. I waited for a bit, And when the door didn't open, I did the calling out. I said the door's open.
Yes, I heard you. I'm just nervous. I've never been to a private investigator before.
Well, come on in, dearie. I'm as tame as a pussycat. I never oil the hinges. They make a good warning system. You never know in my business.
Mr. Blake?
In she came, all 5'7" of her. She had enough curves on her to pitch for the Yankees. An hourglass figure that could hold back the sands of time. And a pair of dark eyes that seemed to be laughing and crying all at once.
Mr. Blake, you've got to help me.
So you said.
It's my sister. She's missing.
Missing? As in kidnapped? Or has she just gone on a holiday?
No, on both counts. Do you mind if I sit down? I feel a little faint.
No, help yourself.
Thank you.
There was something screwy about the woman. It was the look I saw in between thank you and her sitting down. Like a woman I once came across. She had killed her husband to get the insurance. And when the insurance man wouldn't pay out, she killed him. That look didn't fit the helpless act she was putting on. But in those days, I was a sucker for a pretty face. And she had a pretty face.
My name is Lola Montez. I'm a singer at the Cat's Meow. You know, on Sunset?
Well, that explained the flash of a hard look. The Cat's Meow was a club at the end of Hollywood end of Sunset. It was a speakeasy during the 20s. Now, an illegal gambling joint. It was run by two-bit hood there called Marty Gibson. Said to be in Dutch with the local constabulary and the mob. That's why he never got raided. Well, that explained it. You need flashes of hard looks if you were a woman working for Marty.
I remember reading something about you in the papers. You said you acted as a go-between for a kidnapping payout. I was gonna call you in the morning, but then I saw the light in your office.
I looked at her more critically now. But the look I saw was back to that helpless act. So I continued to stare at helpless, waiting for her to go on. She continued to stare at curious, waiting for I didn't know what. I decided to break the ice. So, about your sister. How do you know she's missing? When was the last time you saw her?
Yesterday. We had lunch together.
Well, one day doesn't make someone missing.
But she was supposed to meet me at the club after my second set tonight.
Well, people change their minds. Listen, one day doesn't make for a disappearance. My advice to you is if you can't locate her by tomorrow, go to the police. They have better resources than I have to trace missing persons.
Oh, I couldn't do that. It's complicated.
It always is. So we both waited a while I considered. I hate missing persons. The cases usually end up in some flea bag of a motel and an ugly domestic fight.
I'm willing to pay, whatever you charge.
Yeah? Well, it's $50 a day plus expenses. But I haven't said yes yet.
Please, Mr. Blake?
So okay, I told her after another look at her pretty face. You got a picture of her?
Yes, here.
What's her name?
It's Jillian Stewart. Montez is my stage name. My mother was Montez.
Address? Phone number?
It's on the back of the picture. My phone number is there too.
What does she do? Where does she work?
She's an actress when she can get the part. She sometimes tempts at Sears, the one on Wilshire and Santa Monica, but we're not very close, so I haven't been keeping up to her.
Until you had lunch.
Yes.
Well, that explains it. She'd just gone about her own business.
No. She definitely said she'd meet me at the club tonight. I know something bad's happened to her. When will I hear from you?
When? I haven't even started yet.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I'm just anxious, that's all. You'll go over to her place right now, tonight, and call me if?
If what?
Well, you know.
Afraid I don't. So why don't you go over there? Or better yet, phone her.
Oh, I don't want to do that. You see, that lunch I told you about, well, we had an argument. I said some words that doesn't matter. I would prefer you to go over there. That's why I came to you, to...
Okay. Leave it with me.
Then you'll go there now?
Sure, but I'll call her first.
Oh, I wouldn't do that.
What?
She hates to be wakened when she's sleeping.
And me going there isn't gonna wake her?
Please, just go and call me when you get there. If she's there, I'll talk to her. If she's not there, phone me anyways.
Well, the whole thing sounded screwy to me. But $50 was $50. Okay, but it's gonna cost you $50.
I don't care about the money. Just go.
You're the boss. As soon as I find my car keys. Well, she stood up slowly. Very slowly. I could see all of her curves. She gave me a half smile. You know that club of yours? It's supposed to be a pretty tough joint. You look too nice of a kid to be working there.
Oh, Marty's all right. He keeps the place clean of high rollers, and I keep my nose clean.
I bet you do. When she turned around and made her way to the door, also slowly, she stopped at the door and looked back at me. I swear I thought she was going to blow me a kiss, but all I got was another half smile. And then she was gone. Well, Jillian's place was just off Santa Monica Boulevard, a few blocks from the steps leading down to the beach. Driving there gave me some time to think, something I try not to do too often. It hurts my head. But there was something screwy about this case. Why did this Lola put on the Little Miss Muffet act? And why not call her sister? Why me? Was Jillian the spider that frightened Little Miss Muffet away? It was a bungalow sandwiched in between two upper G apartment buildings. Unless she was renting a room in the bungalow, it seemed to be a pretty fancy place for a sometime actress and a sometime Sears clerk. There were no lights on in the house, no car in the driveway. I went up the steps to the front door. It was obvious no one was home, but for $50 a day, it was worth a try. I knocked. The door inched open. People should lock their doors, I said to myself. This was a Tony neighborhood. Lots of break-and-enters. I walked in. It was dark. Jillian? Jillian Stewart, you here? I pressed the light switch. And either Jillian was a lousy housekeeper or someone had come looking for something. The sofa was torn apart. The contents of a ceiling-high bookcase were strewn all over the floor. And the seat and back of an easy chair looked like Jack the Ripper had gotten here before me. Jillian, if you're hiding, it's okay to come out. Your sister sent me. My name is... I never got to spell out my name. Something hard, cold, and without mercy played my head like a bass drum. When I woke up, the bass drum had turned into a staccato symphony along the lines of Gene Krupa. I rolled over. My face met something hard. It was dark, so whoever decided I needed to sleep had turned out the lights. I stood up, slowly. Then I banged my face when I tried to move forward. Hell, I was in some kind of closet. I kicked out with my feet until I heard wood breaking. The closet turned out to be a cupboard I had been stuffed into. And that turned out to be a kitchen cupboard. After I staggered around a bit, I thought I'd better look over the place in case Jillian turned out to be a dead body. But except for more bad housekeeping in all the rooms, and she was going to need a legion of cleaners to put that house back together again, there were no bodies, dead or otherwise. Hell, this sure was a lousy way to earn $50. I thought as I felt that lump on the back of my head. The next morning arrived, and I could still hear Gene Krupa wailing away on his drum kit. My place was on Franklin, just above Hollywood Boulevard. A 4-story walk-up. 3 rooms if you count the bathroom. Not much for someone supposedly earning $50 a day. I thought I'd start with Sears. See if anyone there knew anything. Maybe she still worked there.
Can I help you?
Emily was the cute brunette in the ladies' department. That's what her name tag said. But I didn't need a name tag to tell me that she was cute. Hello, Emily. I'm looking for Jillian Stewart. Do you know what department she's in?
Jillian Stewart. No one by that name works here. At least I don't think so.
No? Her sister said she used to work here.
Well, I don't know. You should talk to personnel. They're on the 2nd floor. Maybe they know something. Hey, you know, you're the second person coming asking for this Jillian.
You don't say. Now, I don't like coincidences. They usually turn out to give me a headache, like the one I had now. The personnel was more helpful. Jillian did work here, off and on, but not for the last few years. It seemed that Lola hadn't kept up with her sister for a while. At least that was one truth she told me. I called Lola from the pay booth, but there was no answer. So even though it was a little early for some watered-down liquor, my next stop was going to be the Cat's Meow. Maybe that's where Lola was. Now, the Cat's Meow was one of those nightclubs that pretended to be a nightclub. Outside, at least at night, the neon lights gave the place an almost respectable look, like a poor man's brown derby. But by day, the place looked more like a burlesque joint across from Pershing Square. Faded posters of well-endowed women, Lola included, interspersed with autographed pictures of movie stars you never heard of, were plastered over what might have once been windows peeping out onto the street, now bricked up. I usually stay away from these backroom gambling dens of iniquity. If the place gets raided and I'm busted, well, I'll lose my license. Lieutenant Perez wouldn't like that. He and I go way back, to grade school. I've helped him out on a number of cases. He's helped me by keeping me out of the clink when a case that I've been working on got too personal. Inside didn't live up to the outside expectation, if there ever was one. But the place stank like 3-week-old fish. Like it needed a dim light so you wouldn't be able to see the cockroaches hanging from the ceiling. It was dolled up to look like one of those speakeasies like how they once did. You know, Tommy guns stuck out to the walls, the front end of a 1928 Chrysler plastered to the wall so that it looked like it was crashing through it. The dance floor was small, 2 or 3 couples small. They wanted to sell their watered-down drinks, not encourage people to dance. Fake Tiffany lights on the tables, and a bandstand where 3 musicians were playing something dreamy and quiet. Probably the only chance they ever got to play real music. Then there was that predictable door deep at the end of the room. Behind that was where the real action took place. Lieutenant Perez knew about this place. Hell, I imagine even the mayor knew what went on behind that door. But Marty had friends in high places. So they say. Maybe even the mayor. I knew that face. That was Salvatore Spinelli. Sally to his friends. From the look he gave me, I guess I wasn't one of them. I'm looking for Lola.
Hey, who wants to know?
Name's Rufus Blake.
Well, Rufus Blake, my advice to you is to keep looking somewhere else.
Then she's not here?
You don't take advice real good, mister.
Well, from the way he looked at me, and the way his right hand dove into his 20-style monkey suit, he was real good at giving advice. It's too early, Sally. I'll call you Sally, if that's okay with you. It's too early for the gunfight at the OK Corral. And besides, I'm not carrying my gun, so you don't have anything to worry about.
I said the worrying's on you, pal. Now, like I said, we're open at 5. If you want to talk to Lola, you gotta pay the cover charge. Now beat it.
Hey, is that you, Blakey?
Well, here was another face I knew. Billy Williams. He had come out of the predictable door and rushed up to me. I knew Billy since the days before in the Army. Both of us went to the same high school, but I lost track of him after we all got back. He served in the Pacific. I went to Africa and then Italy. He'd been a quarterback before the Hitler mess soured everything. Some nasty shrapnel in his leg made him have a career change. But he used to be one hell of a quarterback.
Yo, son of a gun, I haven't seen you in years. Sally, this guy is Jake with me. Old pal of mine.
But Sally Boy's voice said I should still beat it. And then he went back into that door that Billy had just come out of.
Hell, let me look at you. You haven't changed since the last time I saw you. When was that?
At the trial of that bank clerk who got shot.
Yeah, that's right. He was in court giving evidence. Are you still a cop?
Nah, gave it up. Too much like the army. I'm private now.
You don't say.
Billy was as tall as me. He used to be skinny and wiry. Now a bit hunched over and having trouble finding his feet over his beer belly. And about his feet? They were still on him, but they were connected to two crooked legs that gave him a broad limp when he walked on account of that shrapnel. I wasn't surprised that he had turned to music. He played the piano almost as good as he could throw a football.
Hey, fellas, knock it off. I want to talk to Blakey. So what you doing here? We don't open till 5. And I don't picture you as one of them gambling marks.
Well, I'm looking for Lola.
Lola? You and her friends?
No, just a client. She hired me to find her sister.
Jilly.
Suddenly, those glad eyes of his became not so glad.
Now why would she do that?
She's worried, I guess.
Worried?
That word seemed to get him thinking.
So where is Jilly?
Don't know. That's what I was going to tell her. Someone broke into her place and messed it up. Looking for something, I guess.
Yeah, I know.
Now it was my turn to turn off my glad eyes. You been there?
Yeah, came by after we closed. About 2. Lola ran out after her second set and I got word about her. When she didn't answer her phone, I went to Jilly's place.
You don't say. I thought she and her sisters weren't speaking to each other except for arguments.
Who told you that? They're thick as thieves.
Typical, I thought. Why was it that all my clients lied to me? So you were there last night? See anything suspicious? Besides the mess?
What do you mean?
Like me, for instance.
You?
Now the not-so-glad eyes became downright hostile.
Wait a minute. What were you doing ransacking her place? I thought...
I never found out what Billy thought. Marty Gibson came strolling out of the back door along with his pal, Sally.
I know you. You're Rufus Blake, that ex-cop who pals around with Perez.
Marty was my candidate for Hood of the Month. A natty dresser. Patent leather shoes at the bottom of a shiny evening suit that made you want to put your sunglasses on. And his fedora cocked to one side like it was thinking of falling off. He had a handsome face that reminded me of a funeral director I once knew, who turned out to be a serial killer. Oh, and there was that telltale bulge under his dinner jacket. From the looks of it, I'd say it was a 38.
Perez sent you to snoop around, didn't he? I don't like snoopers. I run a legitimate place here, don't I, Sally?
Very legitimate.
So what are you doing here? We ain't open till 5.
He's looking for Jilly.
Jilly, is it? And why would you be looking for her here?
I thought I'd ask her out on a date.
A date, is it?
Lola hired him.
She did she? And where is lovely Lola now?
I don't know, Marty. She ain't come in yet.
I didn't ask you, stupid. I asked my friend here, Mr. Ex-Cop.
The tension thickened from maple syrup to molasses. Sally showed me more than the door. He was a quick bugger. 2 jabs to my stomach and an uppercut that found my jaw. I guess Marty's advice wasn't so free after all. I paid for it all right. You'd think I'd been in this business long enough to keep my head above water. This time, it wasn't behind a cupboard. I was behind some trash bins in an alley. I staggered to my feet. Staggered some more like I was trying to learn the Charleston. Billy came out of a door into the alley.
Hey, Rufus, you all right?
Nice friends you got here.
Sorry about that. Marty's been touchy lately. There's been talk of closing places like ours down, and he and Jilly have a thing together. He's the jealous type.
Well, remind me to take back that wedding present I had picked out for him.
I'm sorry, Blake. Anything I can do?
Yeah, get some new friends.
So why does Lola want to find Jilly? What did she say about her?
Don't know. Not much.
Like I said, I'm sorry, Blake. I'll have a talk with Sally and Marty.
Yeah, you do that. I headed for the street. 2 days' work and 2 beatings? Well, that was par for a typical case. I wondered if I could take the beatings off my income tax and call them an expense.
Betty Ryan.
Hello, sweetheart. It's your Uncle Blake. How about some kind words for me?
Blake, don't tell me you're on another one of your benders. You sound awful.
Betty, my love. The only bender I'm on is to see how many times I hit the canvas. Betty was my sometimes girlfriend. She's a clerk at the 6th Precinct. That's where Lieutenant Perez holds court. I usually call her when I need some information on the QT, not authorized for the average citizen. She usually calls me unprintable names when I stand her up because I'm doing something with that QT information. Now, honey, I need an address for a phone number.
What you need is a kick in the pants. You know how long I waited for you at the tamale hut? I closed up the place.
You know I apologize for that. And besides, that was 2 months ago.
What's that supposed to mean? Like I should forget? With you, Blake, a girl never forgets.
Now, isn't that sweet?
Oh, you.
Listen, I'm in a hurry. I'm on a case. I need an address.
So you said.
I waited patiently through a round of heavy breathing.
Okay, I don't know why I do these things for you. If I get caught, I get fired.
It's because I'm irresistible. And besides, I'm pretty sure Perez knows.
Okay, give it to me.
So using Lola's phone number, she found her address. It was on Whitley Avenue, just north of Franklin. Hell, we were practically neighbors. It was an apartment building that looked out onto the parking lot across the street. One of the many two-story fleabag apartments in LA for all the suckers waiting for their moment of glory, where I bet even the bed bugs had fleas. It was certainly a come down from her sister's bungalow. Instead of the purr of the Pacific surf, there was the grumble of traffic on Hollywood Boulevard. Hers was number 19, second floor. I climbed the outside stairs to an open walkway that led to the apartment doors. This time, I came prepared. My .38 was in my jacket pocket. My hand was around its grip. I decided that if anyone was going to get a bump on the head, it was going to be the other fella. Now the question was, should I knock and let the other fella know that I'm here, or check if the door wasn't unlocked? See, I had this feeling that something wasn't right. I gently tried the door. It was unlocked. I took out the .38, just in case. I turned the knob all the way to the right. Then, with my gun leading the way, I flew open the door. Lola wasn't home. Not unless she was a cross-dresser with a back as wide as a sumo wrestler. The back spun around as one of its hands went for what was surely a gun under his jacket. Hold it right there. We don't want to make any more of a mess than you already made. It seemed that Lola wasn't any better at housekeeping than her sister. The place looked like a mess of trashy heirlooms from an overturned dumpster.
Who are you?
Isn't that what I'm supposed to ask? He was a burly guy matching my 6'3" height. He was wearing last year's hat and a suit that looked like it hadn't caught up to the hat. He had a face like a boxer. And it looked familiar.
Are you one of Chinelli's boys?
I'm nobody's boy. Then the familiar pricked a memory. I knew that face. Eddie Muir. One-time prize fighter before the war. The last time I saw his mug was on the front page of the LA Tribune. Seems he got mixed up with the mob. A real mix-up, I guess, because he and Vincent Chinelli got into a dust-up. Chinelli got a slug in the arm. Eddie got 3 to 5. Eddie Muir and Gillian Stewart, all in the same breath. I don't like coincidences. Sometimes they can prove fatal. Looking for something in particular? If it's Lola, I don't think you're going to find her in some of those cushions.
What I'm doing is no concern of yours.
Well, that's not what my .38 says.
Put that gat away. I got no quarrel with yous. I guess if you was one of Vince's boys, I'd be dead now.
Well, if you don't mind, I'm just going to keep Junior here for company.
Suit yourself.
Eddie didn't seem too worried about Junior. He went back to searching the room. He had already ripped apart some couch cushions and now was checking the underside of the couch, which he had turned onto its side. The connection to the ceiling light fixture had been pulled out of its box and was dangling like it was a stiff that had just been hung. On a hunch, I asked, "Looking for Jillian by any chance?" That got him. He stood up, spun around, and stuck out two beefy hands with murder in their veins. Hey, take it easy. Remember Junior here. That stopped them.
Where is that double crosser?
Well, that's what I was about to ask you.
I wouldn't be tearing apart Lola's place if I knew, stupid.
Well, Stupid would like to know if it was you who clobbered me at Jillian's place.
You was there too. I never saw you. So it was you who tore up the place. You're playing a dangerous game, buddy. Who you working for? Vince or Billy?
From the murderous way he looked at me, I didn't think I wanted to be his buddy. No, I'm just a private dick trying to make a buck. Lola hired me to find a sister. I just came into Jillian's place before the credits and went out like the end of the movie when you clobbered me.
Brother, if I slugged you, you would still be slugged. So it must have been one of Vince's boys. I wonder if they got it.
Got what?
That's for me to know and for you to forget.
He sure wasn't very worried about Junior and me. He walked past me to the door and stopped.
If you run into Jilly, tell her from me that as far as I'm concerned, she's dead meat. And it ain't gonna be pretty.
From the way he rushed out of here, I guess he hadn't found what he was looking for, but was still looking. Whatever it was. What all this had to do with Lola and her missing sister sure beat me. But something for sure. So I started looking around. Only after a few minutes, I couldn't figure out what I was looking for. I was about to leave when I spotted a notepad on the floor lying beside an overturned table. Now, every good detective knows that if someone writes something on a notepad and rips off the page, on the sheet below, there might be an imprint. It was a slim chance, but what the hell? I had to do something for my 50 that day. As luck would have it, I could see faint markings on that sheet. It was an address in Venice, on the speedway overlooking the beach. I stuffed the sheet into my pocket, and I was about to put Junior to bed when I heard footsteps.
Nice and easy, mister, unless you want to plant a garden.
I never was much for gardening, so I froze. Two men stood in the doorway. One, Vincent Cinelli, in an unidentified hood. Sharp clothes, both of them. Expensive hats. High-class patent leather shoes. I didn't know what their guns cost, but at the moment, I wasn't interested in their worth.
Put the gun on the floor. Very slowly, mister.
Like a good boy, I did as I was told.
Gino, pick it up.
Gino was a good boy, too. He handed my gun to Vince.
Bud, you have a habit of turning up at the wrong time. I would have thought one knock in the head was enough.
Oh, you know me. I knock around a lot.
Search him. See if he's got it on him.
A good boy Gino searched inside my coat and pants, adding a pat down to my legs in case I had a gun hidden beneath my trouser legs. Hey, I have an inseam of 34 inches. But then again, I guess you know that by now.
Cut the wise cracks.
Nothing, boss.
Nothing, huh? So where do you fit in all of this, wise guy?
Now, there's two ways you can deal with someone like Vincent Cinelli. You can tell the truth and hope that he buys it, or you can string him along and find out what he knows. I chose the former. I figured whatever he and Eddie Muir were looking for, he wouldn't be too happy if I had joined in on the hunt. I'm just an innocent bystander, Mr. Cinelli. Lola hired me to find her sister. I just came to tell her that I had struck out. Vince and Gino exchanged glances, like they were deciding who was going to shoot me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So where is she?
Beats me.
That can be arranged. What's your moniker?
I told him my name. He wasn't impressed.
So beat it for now. I see you again, you're a dead man. Oh, and if you run into Jilly, tell her from me. She's gonna be dead meat.
Now, where had I heard that before? Lovable Betty gave me the goods on Eddie Muir. Seems he just got paroled yesterday. The word was, Jillian is his girl. At least she was before he went to Quentin. So he and Vince and his Jillian were somehow connected to something he and Vince were looking for. Just how Marty Gibson and his good pal Sally figured into this, or for that matter, curvaceous Lola, I couldn't guess. All I had now was a couple of ransacked apartments and what now looked like to be 2 missing girls. As I drove out to Venice, I was figuring out the odds that the place there was going to look busted up too. Now, Venice isn't exactly the Riviera, but it's got a great beach and some nice homes backing up on it. The place on the Speedway wasn't one of them. It stood in a row of rundown bungalows. This time I decided to act real smart. If Vince and his pals had gotten there before me, I was just gonna watch with my .38 by my side. So I waited until the sun went down and the beach cleared of all the surfers and sunbathers. Then I snuck up to the beach side of the house. It had a small deck that was in need of some TLC. Of the 5 steps up to it, 3 were broken. It had a distant memory of wood railing and an awning over the deck that wasn't much better than the steps. The rips in its canvas flapped in the wind like it was a giant bird trying to take off. So there I was, like a peeping Tom, looking into a back window, and what the hell? What do I see? My missing persons, Lola and Jillian. Now don't that beat all, I thought. They were talking, arguing it looked like from the glare of their angry faces. I went around to the front, tried the door, and like a good little door, it was open. I went inside to the kitchen. I peeked into the living room, and they were still arguing.
We'll be back to Hollywood is My Business, Rufus Blake, private investigator, in just a moment. But first, a word from our sponsor. The angry lion went psst. The feverish tiger went psst. But the very best psst is the psst you get when you get Fitzsimmons shoes. That's right, folks. Fitzsimmons shoes. Happy feet make for happy people. 95 out of 100 walkers say they would rather be walking in Fitzsimmons shoes than bare feet.
Make your feet happy, folks. Get Fitzsimmons shoes.
The angry lion went psst. The feverish tiger went psst. But the very best psst you get when you get Fitzsimmons shoes. That's right, folks. Fitzsimmons shoes. Happy feet make for happy people. 95 out of 100 walkers say they would rather be walking in Fitzsimmons shoes than bare feet.
Make your feet happy, folks. Get Fitzsimmons shoes.
The angry lion went psst. The feverish tiger went psst. But the very best fit is the fit you get when you get Fitzsimmons shoes.